The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamite, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
Jason, did you tell them the news?
Oh yeah, good morning everybody. That is right. Today is Tuesday, April 29th, you guys. And today is get out of here. There we go. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, April 29th, and today is National Shrimp Scampi Day.
It was delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Alfredo.
Yeah, shout out to Yarrow.
Fuck. That's not nice, Jason. That's not nice.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. It's also
Jason doesn't need to be nice. He just has a hard time with being accurate.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Whatever you guys want to whatever denial river you guys want to live on. It's also National Zipper Day today, you guys.
That's where your shrimp scampi is.
Yep. Very cute, Yarrow. Very cute. Yarrow. Yes, every time I hear that it's National Zipper Day, I can't help but think about that movie. Do you remember What About Mary?
Something About Mary? Yeah,
Something About Mary. Yeah, that one. Yeah. He's in the bathroom and he gets his shit caught in the zipper.
I thought you were still buying your hair products from her line.
Stop, Yarrow. Stop the cap. And it's also National Peace Rose Day today, you guys.
What's a peace rose?
Oh, you gotta make me go and look this up. Hold on, give me a second now.
You should have done this on the toilet this morning.
I had other things that I was doing this morning, Jenny Beth.
On the toilet.
On the toilet, yes. Peace Rose Day. Okay, so Peace Rose. Each year on April 29th, National Peach Rose Day honors all well-known and fruitful garden roses. The light yellow to large cream-colored flowers of the peace rose have slightly flushed crimson pink petal edges, and it's a hybrid tea rose that is hardly vigorous and highly resistant to disease.
All of our viewers feel so much more well-informed.
I mean, at least we know, Yarrow.
It's a peace rose, you guys. It's a peace rose.
I like. It's better to know more than you need.
In my garden.
You have peace roses in your garden, Jesse?
I need that in my garden, it sounds like.
I think everyone needs a little peace in the garden, you know what I'm saying? Yes. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are kicking it off with, that's right, Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis and of Justice Served, a 501c3 that helps justice-impaired individuals get their lives back on track. And here to tell you a thing or two, it is none other than co-host Miss Jenny Beth Dills. You with us, Jenny? You there? Okay. All right. She's getting there, apparently.
Practicing her
freeze?
best teenager.
Exactly, right?
I think she might have frozen.
I think so too. Jenny, are you with us?
Yeah. Yeah, she froze. She's not moving.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could proxy.
You want a proxy?
Fuck. Hello.
Oh, there we go. Now we hear you, Jenny. Now we got you. Yes, we got you live and direct now, Jenny. Oh, we had you.
Her feed keeps freezing. She needs to reconnect.
Oh, man. Man. That's a tough one. All right. Your feed keeps freezing. That's what we're saying? You need to reconnect. All right. Well, I guess I'll just roll into my first story of the day. Unless, there she goes. She just dropped off. She got the message. All right. Well, cannabis and liquor. And I'm sorry, Yarrow. I apologize. This story is a little longer, but my other stories are shorter today. Okay. Cannabis and liquor retailers are at odds over a proposed rules on hemp-derived THC beverage sales. No one complained when state regulators quietly allowed hemp-derived THC beverages to be sold in Rhode Island's liquor stores late last summer. But now that the state's lawmakers are considering codifying the rules, the state's cannabis cultivators and retailers are speaking out, saying the liquor industry is circumventing stringent guidelines that they've had to follow to get their psychoactive products to market. A bill sponsored by Representative Jacqueline Baginski, a Cranston Democrat, would declare it legal for licensed distributors to sell beverages containing up to 5 milligrams of Delta-9 THC at liquor stores, bars, and restaurants. The bill would also increase the fee liquor wholesalers pay for the right to sell these products, and companion legislation is sponsored in the Senate by Robert Brito, an East Providence Democrat. In a quote, they say, "The goal of my legislation is to get our arms around the sale of beverages that are already being sold," Baginski said in an interview. "For every good actor and retailer who goes out and goes through the trouble of requiring that license, there are potentially one or two who have not done that." Existing hemp rules allow for the sale of Delta-9 THC products such as gummies, lozenges, packaged baked goods, and beverages at licensed retailers, and the state now has 120 hemp retailers and distributors, which include businesses headquartered in Colorado, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. Connecticut last July mandated that THC-infused drinks only be available at state-licensed liquor stores and cannabis retailers, and Massachusetts regulators, meanwhile, declared last May that intoxicating hemp-based products cannot be sold outside of cannabis retail stores. Under Baginski's and Brito's bills, the annual fee paid by liquor wholesalers would increase from $500 to $1,500 to distribute Delta-9 THC drinks under rules crafted by the state's Department of Business Regulation. Bars and restaurants would have to pay $250 a year, and Rhode Island's 7 cannabis dispensaries, meanwhile, pay a yearly $30,000 in licensing fees to sell THC products. Those rules are based on regulations crafted by the state's Cannabis Control Commission. In a quote, they say, "Why is one held to this high regulation while the other is not?" Magnus Thorsten, a professor at Johnson and Wales University Cannabis Entrepreneurship Program, told Rhode Island Current, "It's not fair and balanced," he says. Mike Simpson, co-founder of Lovewell Farms in Hopkinton, said he's fine with liquor stores being allowed to sell hemp products in Rhode Island. He just wishes that hemp growers like himself had a say in the initial legislation. In a quote, he says, "They completely left out the existing hemp industry as if we don't exist," Simpson said in an interview Thursday. This kind of not only feels superfluous, but also feels like they didn't actually engage with the industry. "I hope they're open to hearing," he says. Baginski acknowledged that she has not met with hemp industry leaders, but said she is always willing to connect with them, and in a quote says, "I do not claim to know everything, and I'm happy to take all the feedback out there for me to absorb," she said. Baginski's bill received an initial hearing before the House Corporations Committee on April 8th, where it was held for further study, as is standard practice during a first vetting by a legislative panel. And the state's liquor industry is backing the proposal. And in a quote, they say, "Why is one held to all this high regulation while the other is not? It's not fair and balanced," said by Magnus Thorson, a professor at Johnson & Wales University Cannabis Entrepreneurship Program. Rhode Island Liquor Operators Collaborative Executive Director Nicholas Feedy Jr. said alcohol retailers as well positioned to be part of the hemp-derived THC market. He told Rhode Island Current that the store owners and staff are already trained to recognize effects of intoxicating substances when interacting with customers, and a quote says, "We have a long history of high product integrity," Feedy said. "We are the gatekeepers for public safety." Alex Nevazda, director of marketing for Bottle Fine Wine on Providence's east side, understands the sense of resentment coming from cannabis dispensaries and cultivators, but said he believes having more retail outlets will help the industry grow, he says. THC drinks already account for 10% of Bottle's revenue, and in a quote, they say, "It's difficult to keep them in stock at times," Nenza said. An interview, "Our shelves empty out pretty fast," he says. Now, getting THC from CBD, you guys, because hemp has been legal at the federal level since 2018, and hemp-derived THC drinks were technically illegal in Rhode Island, at least until last August, when the state's Office of Cannabis Regulation began allowing the sale of products containing low levels of Delta-9 THC at licensed retailers, which includes vape shops and liquor stores. Beverages derived from cannabis continue to only be sold at licensed cannabis retailers. And then in a quote, they say, "It's a molecule and your body doesn't make any discern at all to where it comes from." Stuart Proctor, co-founder founder and lab director for cannabis testing facilities Pura Vida Labs in West Warwick, said the main difference is how the psychoactive compound is derived. Delta-9 is a naturally occurring cannabinoid within cannabis plants. With hemp, it takes a little chemical magic to convert non-psychoactive CBD into THC. Methods include soaking the hemp material in a liquid like butane or ethanol and applying enough pressure to heat to extract THC compounds, or exposing the plant to acid, he says. In a quote, "If all of the processes are done properly by chemists and people who know what they're doing, you probably end up with a nice, safe product which is absolutely identical to the Delta-9 taken from marijuana plants," said Proctor, who chairs the Cannabis Advisory Board's Public Health Subcommittee. But because hemp testing rules vary from state to state, Proctor said safety isn't always guaranteed. In a quote, they are very limited to testing standards guiding hemp-related products, he said. "If you were to bring hemp into the same regulatory protocols, that would make sense. If they want to play in the same market, they should abide by the same regulations." But there's conflicting rules, because during the bill's April 8th hearing, Baginski told lawmakers she was surprised to see hemp-based THC products available on the marketplace and largely sold unregulated, she says. The intent of this legislation is not to make any changes to the existing structure of sales and marijuana-based THC, but to create a new safe marketplace for hemp THC beverages. But state regulators argue that Baginski's proposal could conflict with existing cannabis rules. And Cannabis Control Commission Chairperson Kimberly Ahern wrote the committee that the existing bill would revoke several existing hemp licenses and contradicts the state's commitment to building a robust cannabis economy. Hemp-derived THC products under Baginski's bill would not be subject to the same testing, labeling restrictions, and additional safety protocols required under existing rules and upcoming regulations required for adult-use cannabis. The absence of clear requirements for psychoactive hemp-derived products increases the risk of accidental overconsumption and potential exposure to vulnerable populations, including youth, Ahern warned. Ahern asked that the General Assembly hold the bill until regulators and industry leaders could discuss alignment with the state's broader cannabis and hemp regulatory strategy. And Baginski said she's open to making any necessary changes to the bill to ensure it aligns with existing regulations, adding that the goal of any legislation is to spark conversation and let the democratic process unfold. In a quote, she says, "I don't think it's worth having a conversation about who we're selling these things to and what exactly they are," she told the Rhode Island Current, you guys. Well, these beverages, they're, man, they're making some headway, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
You were quite correct. That was absolutely exhaustingly long.
I'm sorry. That's my longest story of the day. I apologize. Nothing to say, huh? You guys are quiet. You guys,
I
need
mean,
a little mouse.
when it gets that long, it's like, I think we've said enough. But I mean, Jason, I know you're always happy about beverages.
I just,
I've said it and I'll say it again, but it's a very short synopsis. As long as the federal government under Republican and Democratic presidents feels no need to update the Farm Bill and bifurcate between psychotropic versus non-psychotropic or psychoactive cannabinoids, irrespective of which plant they come from, and as long as we don't have parity between underregulated hemp and overregulated cannabis, we will continue to see a patchwork of plug the hole in the dam efforts by states. It's not fair to make this a state's issue when the loopholes or opportunities are provided by the federal government through the Farm Bill. We're going to see this over and over and over. And whether those attempts are effective or non-effective, only time will tell. But it is a byproduct of the federal government not doing its job.
Fair enough. Jess, you have any thoughts on these beverages? They want to sell them in liquor stores. I thought it was weird that they're charging these alcohol distributors an extra $1,000 just to distribute cannabis beverages. I thought that was kind of little absurd, personally, because they're charging them $500 to deliver alcoholic beverages and then adding an extra $1,000 just to add on these cannabis beverages or hemp-derived beverages. I thought I was like, that doesn't make any sense. How'd they come up with that number?
Because they want to make money.
Make sense because the drinks are going to cannibalize the alcohol market.
Yeah, but
so if someone's going into a liquor store to buy drinks and they're going to buy cannabis drinks, they're probably not going to buy their normal booze drinks. I mean, we've shown that that's been the case. People don't really buy both. So
I mean, I'll take an all of the above approach to intoxication. I think
some do, because clearly
great, Yarrow.
Clearly some do, but
hang out with me on a weekend.
Most people are getting these drinks because they're looking for an alternative.
Sure.
So it's interesting that they're charging them more money, but they're the same distributors. That's just an odd.
That's what I'm saying.
Play.
I think it's pretty simple. I think there's probably a lack of tax opportunity under the Farm Bill, and they're just trying to find a way to make money.
I mean, that definitely could be.
Taxing these distributors seems like a very much plan A out of the government playbook.
Well, wasn't it like $1,500 a year?
Yeah, $1,500 a year from
how many distributors in Rhode Island can there actually be?
Exactly. It's Rhode Island's like this, one of the smallest states.
Yeah, what are we talking about? I mean,
very good, Jason.
$1 million. If there's no way they have that many distributors.
Wow. Well, hey, here we go.
It's an interesting play. It seems just like bureaucracy and red tape for no reason, but that's pretty typical of anything cannabis, right?
Pretty much. That is very fair. That is very fair. All right. Well, we're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where will I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
They're actually good.
Yes, and we are back, you guys, and we are going to roll right into Miss Jenny Beth Dills, who happens to have got her internet fixed, apparently. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis and of Justice Served, a 501c3 that helps justice-impaired individuals get their lives back on track. And here with a take two is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
you. Can I brag real quick, Jason?
You can do whatever you want, Jenny Beth. The floor is yours.
2-time long drive, brought some birdies, champion of the world, Craig. I got a big check. Big. It's actually physically large, so that's good. But no, great time yesterday. Shout out to the Blunts and Birdies guys. Shout out to Goodfellas Group, Ghost, all the amazing sponsors that made that happen.
Did anybody hit the hole in one and get the $100,000?
They didn't.
They did not. So is next time, is it going to be $200,000 for that hole?
I doubt it. Those are usually like insured. So there's like an insurance policy. You buy it for like whatever amount of money. And then if somebody hits it, the insurance pays out that $100,000.
Jenny, can you show the viewers the picture of you trying to stick that through the ATM?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, it's okay. All right. It kind of looks like Yarrow trying to use regular size cutlery. So it's very reminiscent.
Oh, that cut's so deep.
All right. So Spain, you guys, no more edibles in Spain. The country's health ministry has officially banned the sale and distribution of cannabis-infused sweets. While these candies don't contain THC, they do include semi-synthetic compounds that mimic or even exceed its effects. Authorities are updating a decades-old drug law to crack down on what they now classify as unauthorized cannabinoid products. This move follows a spike in poisonings reported by Barcelona's health clinic. 24 cases just this year, prompting concerns over the lack of regulation around those sweets. Now Barcelona is stepping up enforcement with a new citywide inspection and a mayoral order aimed at stopping the sale of these lab-altered cannabis treats. Stay tuned for more updates on this developing story. So Barcelona is getting sick of the shit, all of the shit. We acted out at Spanibus, and guess what's not in Barcelona anymore? But the fact that Spain is cracking down, there's no more edibles, it says a lot. So I'll throw it back to you guys. But what do you think? 24 cases, that's not a ton, but we don't want to see anybody get hospitalized because they're being given unsafe products. So what do you guys think?
I mean, I'm not surprised at this, but I don't understand that, your whole article, it didn't mention how they're going to enforce this. How are they going to stop all these trappers from selling all these magical gummy worms and gummy bears?
I don't know, big dog. Why don't you ask them? Why don't you go over there and try to trap some parody gummies and let them show you?
I mean, maybe possibly, that sounds like a possible good move. I mean, but the thing is like they're having a bigger problem right now because the whole power grid went out in Spain just yesterday.
Oh man.
So,
that's right.
Yeah, so they got way bigger problems than this. So I don't understand why they're even promoting this part. Like they just need to just focus on their infrastructure in Spain.
I mean, they're trying to find solution to a real issue, They're trying to find solution to a real issue, and we cover that real issue here, and whether it's regulated or unregulated, whether there's a dosage on it or not, whether it's in a child-proof container or not, edibles are a game changer in terms of humans being able to get ahead of themselves in terms
I see
of how
what you
much
did there.
cannabinoids they have in themselves. So, it's a real issue. And governments will continue to fumble solutions, but I understand the problem they're trying to solve for. The problem about solving for that problem is there are genuine medical patients who need high potency tinctures or edibles.
I agree with that.
And some who can't smoke or shouldn't smoke. And so I just think that we need to balance those needs with the needs to protect the youngins.
Are you calling for protecting the little ones?
From fentanyl first, and from high potency cannabis edibles, yes, and from unage restricted access to hemp-derived intoxicating products, yes. We can protect the youngins, but we also need to think about medical patients, those that really do need high dosage cannabis and need to continue to be able to have access to that at low or no cost. And how do we balance those corresponding agendas? But I understand why they're doing it.
Fair enough.
They don't talk about anything about what these poisons are. Are they intimating that it's the THC itself?
I think they were probably referring more to the synthetic cannabinoids that were being used.
Yeah, because I mean, It says, or I'm looking for it again. It literally said they're looking for they've reported cases of poisoning linked.
Well, I'm curious too. Is that poisoning? Like actually you got sick, or is it, oh man, this edible just came at me like a ninja when I said it didn't do shit for 30 minutes. And now I'm scared. You know, like I don't know if it's really so much as they were actually, maybe they got food poisoning because these are being made in non-commercial kitchens, just wherever. Go ahead, Yarrow.
I think it's because they referenced the clinical toxicology unit that they're using the word poisoning. Let's also remember this article was probably not originally written in English.
Correct.
And so there's that. And, you know, they're updating a 1977 law. 10 minutes ago, I was railing on the U.S. government for not updating a 2018 law. So it does make sense to update things a little more frequently than every 45 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just calling someone who's eating these edibles and getting super high, they're calling it poisoning.
Maybe.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Yep.
They're probably just putting the OD in OG.
They're gaslighting, bro, is what they're basically saying, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got some fire OG yesterday from the originals, Jason.
Nice. Well, bring it over, and we'll see what it's all about.
Saw that shit coming, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure you did. All right. Well, fair enough. And, you know, shout out to Spain, and shout out to everyone also too that is attending the ICBC conference out there in Berlin. I know as Emerald Village, we sponsored the consumption lounge area over there, and so shout out to everyone out there enjoying themselves out in Berlin. And Berlin got some really nice looking consumption lounges going on out there.
All right.
All right. Well, you ready to introduce Yarrow?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
All right. All right. High at Nine's favorite hardware judge. Vape sucker. And, you know, Jason Beck's hype brother.
Yeah.
Oh man!
Yeah, shout out to Hype. Shout out to Hype.
Silver hazing around here. It's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I you know,
you love it.
I do love it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I want to pretend like I don't, but I do. And let me just say, it's harder to judge cartridges than flour because there's more than just the oil to take into consideration.
I was gonna say we love you too, Yarrow, but you're totally ridiculous on that.
Not as ridiculous as some of your political positions.
No way.
Anyway,
you're a Republican now.
That's only so I can help change the party from the inside and get it back to its original roots, which was less government, less taxes, less interference.
I'm all about that. Yeah, I'm all about that. I'm with you on that.
Not under this buffoon, you're not. Mm-hmm. But anyway. Anyway, okay. Good morning. Tuesday, April 29th, rounding out 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. High at 9 viewers. My article today, now this is Yarrow motherfucking Kubrin, and my article today is from MJ Biz. Drum roll, thank you, Andrew Long, data reporter. Hot off the press from yesterday. Marijuana industry will add 1.23.6 billion to the U.S. economy this year. The total U.S. economic impact of regulated marijuana sales could top 123.6 billion in 2025, about 9% more than last year, according to a newly released MJ Biz fact book update. While the overall industry continues to struggle, especially in some Western states, expanding markets such as New York and Ohio will add stability going into 2025. With more new cannabis markets on the horizon, the industry will add upward of $200 billion in additional spending to the U.S. economy by 2030. Direct medical and recreational marijuana sales are estimated to reach $35.3 billion in 2025, with an additional $88 billion added to the broader economy. Hopes for a breakthrough moment in 2024 never came for the cannabis industry as Congress failed to pass meaningful reform and the Drug Enforcement Agency fumbled, probably on purpose, reclassifying marijuana as a legitimate medicine. Voters also largely rejected adult use legalization, including Florida, where operators spent nearly $150 million in a losing effort, giving credence to the idea that easy and available reform efforts are a thing of the past. And that explosive growth is unlikely in 2025. Anxiety over prices from tariffs imposed by the Trump administration are already impacting marijuana consumer confidence. And with the administration's focus elsewhere, such as on cutting or streamlining government operations and marijuana rescheduling on hold, it is doubtful any meaningful regulatory change for the cannabis industry will happen in 2025. That said, recreational marijuana is available in 24 states, with markets such as Minnesota opening soon. Eastern markets such as New York and Ohio have yet to reach their full potential, and declining sales in California and Colorado somewhat stabilized last year. The only thing that could stabilize the cannabis industry in 2025 is a broader economic recession, which seems more likely now than it did at this time in 2024. The economic impact of cannabis marijuana businesses span a diverse spectrum, including agricultural, manufacturing, and retail operations, as well as ancillary companies that don't handle the plant directly, such as lighting suppliers and accounting firms. Some markets also feature cannabis-related events and hospitality ventures, which often have an even greater economic impact than other sectors, like the California State Fair. The cannabis industry significantly influences the broader economy, both locally and nationally. This impact stems in part from everyday needs of cannabis industry workers who contribute to the economy through spending on essentials such as housing, transportation, entertainment, and more. Taxes generated by cannabis business and consumers also play a key role. Each year, marijuana companies, patients, and consumers contribute hundreds of millions of dollars to state and local taxes that help fund essential government services, including education and infrastructure. The real estate benefits, too, as new cannabis, retail, manufacturing, and agricultural businesses move into communities or existing companies expand, boosting overall demand for commercial properties. The methodology behind marijuana sale estimates. MJ Biz assessed the cannabis's economic impact by comparing it to similar sectors and using a standard economic multiplier on forecasted recreational and medical marijuana sales. This multiplier reveals how the marijuana industry influences the wider economy. For every dollar spent at adult use shops and medical marijuana dispensaries, an additional $2.50 circulates through the economy, much of it benefiting local communities. These projects are informed estimates considering the marijuana industry's rapid growth, varied state regulations, and its continued illegality at the federal level. Okay, so let me kick this off before I hand it over to my esteemed guests and colleagues. I've talked a lot on this show about how the crippling taxes to the regulated industry are the biggest gift to the trap, and that until we can see parity with pricing, the trap is going to continue to run circles around regulated cannabis because those operators are typically creating better product for less money. Obvious benefits such as supply chain testing and accessibility to dispensaries notwithstanding. But this study, that 123.6, and I don't know where they got the 0.6, but I love that they didn't round up or round down. That shows the financial benefit of the regulated market. Now, one can argue that the trap did support some other ancillary economic benefits, such as the explosion of demand in turkey bags and vacuum sealers. But I think this is a strong argument that the taxes could be drastically reduced because the other economic benefits are so pronounced. This is Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News.
Well, I will say this, Yarrow. I'm wondering, does the trap necessarily have better products overall? I'm not sure about that. But what they do have is they have they can get their products to market much faster. And the fact that cannabis is an agricultural commodity and that it is always basically decaying, you know what I mean, at a rapid rate because of that. I think could be part of the reasons why people do say that.
That's one of my only two reasons for saying that. And you took the words right out of my mouth. The only other reason I would say is the ability to pivot based on cultivars and genetic trends, typically a quicker supply chain pivot. Yep.
That's I think those are all fair points right there, Yarrow. I would agree with you on that. You on that. What do you got to say, Jenny Beth? This is
the
still
trap win.
The trap for sure. Too bad the trap can't you know what I'm saying, participate in our GDP, huh, Yarrow?
The trap does participate in our GDP. It's just harder, and I'm not going to put a lot of weight on Bo Whitley from Oregon or whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah, Bo Whitney Economics.
Yeah, yeah.
Is he based in Oregon, really?
I believe so.
Okay.
But the trap does create an economic benefit and has for a really long time, which is why we've seen the decimation of some rural enclaves as a result of legalization, as that trap became a less pronounced benefit to the businesses and areas. You need drive no further than Garberville to see that the heyday does appear to be in the rearview mirror, whether it's a clothing store, restaurant, movie theaters, you name it. So I do think that the trap has an economic benefit, and I don't think we can talk about economic benefits and money models without talking about both the cost of prohibition and law enforcement action against cannabis operators, as well as the prison industrial complex. So it's a pretty meaty, nuanced, and detailed conversation we're not going to have today. But I would say that anything that takes us away from that prison industrial complex and takes us away from prohibition and law enforcement action against cannabis growers, provided they're not creating environmental crimes or diverting fertilizers into salmon breeding streams, is
stealing water.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. Interesting perspective. What do you guys say, Jenny Beth?
I just don't understand how you said the trap doesn't contribute to our GDP, Jason.
Well, because those people aren't really reporting a lot of income. I mean, I guess you could say that they're reporting, they're participating towards our GDP with the Mylar bag purchasing and the China vape cart hardware.
Jenny,
Jason, what do you think that they do with the money they make trapping those packs?
Jenny, he misspoke like Jason does. When he says it doesn't contribute to the GDP, he just meant Granddaddy Purple. That's all.
Shout out to Ken.
Yep, shout out to Ken. Much love, Ken. Yes. Jesse,
they take those trappy-licious dollars, Jason. They reinfuse them back into the economy, buying shit like.
I fair, yeah. They go to they go to STK and you know what I'm saying, wherever, and you know what I'm saying, and trick off, and you know what I'm saying. Yeah, they go. Yeah, they go and they, you know what I'm saying. You know, they go and support single moms and strip clubs and you know what I mean, all that stuff.
You guys are talking about the blingy, irresponsible spending. What about the farm and feed stores? What about the real estate? What about new cars from local dealerships?
Oh yeah, all the Mercedes and BMWs, Yarrow.
And the Teslas.
Oh, you guys are funny. Any thoughts on this, Jesse?
Saying, my crowd was more Ford than Ferrari, and the economic benefits of the trap were very pronounced, and in many regions, people either directly or indirectly benefited. Even some of those that were against the industry.
Fair enough. That part is true. I 100% agree with that part, Yarrow. That there is a lot of people that benefit from the industry that don't support the industry. Those dollars still filter through their sides of industry. That part is a fact. Jesse, you have any comments on this before we move on?
I just wish that we could actually quantify what the trap market really is in America.
You know, the problem is too many people do cop math, Jesse, and so even if they did come up with a figure, it wouldn't be accurate in the first place.
Well, it's impossible to actually know the impact. I mean, one could argue that, what is it, like 80% of Northern California's entire economy, at least, maybe not so much anymore in the last 10 or 15 years. But,
yeah, they decimated it.
Or definitely not since 2018. But for that, I mean, it was a massive part of their entire economy, totally hidden.
I totally agree. And on that,
we could quantify that.
One day we can, Jesse. One day when we have full cannabis descheduling, we will be able to quantify that. And yes, and Bo Whitney will get real numbers, and then Yarrow will have something else to say in regards. And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back. That's fair. That's fair. And stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. And all the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.high9news.com. And make sure that you order a case of Liberal Tears directly to your doorstep. They have cases that'll come shipped right by the mail by the U.S. Postal Service, so you can get a box, because we know everyone in cannabis loves to get boxes sent to their door. 150 milligrams of caffeine in every can and 0 grams of sugar, you guys.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Are back, you guys. Well. And if you are going to order the Liberal Tears energy beverage, make sure that you use the link that's in the description of this video. But man, I have an interesting story for you guys today. Because and this is one of those quickies, you guys. Because the Oklahoma governor calls for a coordinated action to protect Oklahomans from psychoactive marijuana byproducts, you guys. That's right. Today, the Oklahoma governor, Kevin Stitt, announced a coordinated statewide effort for enforcement against the unlawful manufacturing, distribution, and sale of psychoactive marijuana byproducts that pose a growing risk to public health and safety across Oklahoma, he says. In a letter addressed to the Secretary of Public Safety, Tricia Everest, Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs Control Director Donnie Anderson, Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority Executive Director Andrea Berry, and Department of Public Safety Commissioner Tim Tipton, and Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation Director Greg Mashburn, Governor Stitt called for a cross-agency effort to strengthen regulatory and enforcement actions against those dangerous substances. In a quote, he says, "Those compounds, often marketed to young people, have psychoactive properties that threaten the safety and well-being of Oklahomans," said Governor Stitt. "We must act quickly and collaboratively to address this emerging threat and ensure that both licensed and illicit markets are held accountable," he says. Governor Stitt specifically cited concerns about substances such as Delta-8 THC, Delta-10 THC, HHC, Dr. Mark, they're coming after you, THCO, THCP, and THCV. The governor's office says these compounds are often synthesized or chemically altered from hemp-derived cannabidiol, CBD, and are increasingly available without adequate regulatory oversight. The governor tasked the agencies with a coordinated investigation identifying and investigating the manufacture, distribution, and sale of these compounds, both through licensed dispensaries and unlicensed venues such as convenience stores. They also are targeting enforcement as far as agencies such as OBNDDC and DPS and OSBI will focus on unlawful networks, while OMMA will ensure dispensary compliance within their regulatory scope. And on the regulatory assessment side, they say agencies will work together to identify any regulatory gaps and provide recommendations for statutory or administrative improvements to the governor's office, they say. And the full letter can be read on our website at www.high9news.com. Sounds like they're trying to do a crackdown again in Oklahoma, and I've seen this movie far too many times. I know exactly how it ends, and this is just more propaganda of what they're trying to do out there in Oklahoma, you guys.
Oh, yeah? Spoil it for us, Jason. What are they going to do, buddy?
They're not going to do a whole bunch of nothing. They're going to, bust a couple people, get a couple press releases, we did this, and then basically everything is still going to be the wild, wild west in Oklahoma.
Probably.
That's how it's going to
Yeah.
end.
Nah, whatever.
Yeah, that's how it's going to go.
That's how it's going.
I don't see it changing at all.
No.
Especially.
But it's not Oklahoma so much as it is this issue with the Farm Bill and intoxicating cannabinoids derived from hemp. And this is the second article just today that we've shared where that is the theme. And the theme continues, and it's a bipartisan bullshit problem that is just because they haven't updated the Farm Bill. This is solvable at a federal level. I mean, for those non-conspiracy theorists, we put somebody on the moon 75 years ago. We built the Panama Canal. This is something the federal government can fix and solve. And until they do it, we're going to continue to see states fumbling and scrambling to try to figure out what they can do to fill that vacuum. And it was terrible under Biden. It continues to be terrible under Trump. And it's a terrible that doesn't need to exist.
You're going to upset Jason.
It's terrible as terrible twos. You mentioned
It's
two
very,
of them.
very, very bad, Jason. Very, very bad.
And here's also what I think is a likely byproduct of the inaction on updating the Farm Bill for way too long. Although, hey, at least we're not updating our rules like Spain did after 1977. At least maybe we're a little bit quicker. But the problem is that something bad is going to happen, and then they're going to use that bad that happens as a result of not having reasonable regulation as an excuse to overregulate. It's so obvious. It's like if you drive a Formula One race car without a seatbelt, and then there's an accident, and someone goes flying through their Lexan windshield, and then you go, okay, well now Formula One can only go 49 miles an hour for the rest of every race. It's just so stupid that if I was going to wear my tinfoil hat, I would say that I feel like they're almost doing this on purpose.
Fair enough. They may.
Yarrow, I kind of disagree with you on the fact that we should be clamping down on the hemp farm bill so hard, because I think here what's going to happen is that cannabis is going to be rescheduled, and that the open loop or loophole, if you will, of the hemp farm bill is going to be the only place that the cannabis industry can go to sell these products after it reschedules and becomes a pharmaceutical industry. So I don't think that it's in our best interest as the cannabis industry to actually shout down the hemp industry. We should actually be propping it up more and more, knowing that it's likely to be rescheduled on the cannabis side.
The only thing hard for me, Jesse, was not interrupting you, because I am not suggesting that we clamp down on the hemp industry. What I am suggesting is that we need parity between cannabis and hemp, that cannabis is overregulated, that hemp is underregulated, and that the revised regulatory paradigm should distinguish between intoxicating versus non-intoxicating cannabinoids, irrespective of what plant it came from. Anything else is putting words in my mouth.
Well, I agree with you on that.
Let's not start that again.
I think Dr. John Talleyrand has more than 100 times spoken about type 1, type 2, and type 3 cannabis. And if we went into all of the regulations on the federal and the state level and rewrote them with those classifications in mind, it would solve a lot of these problems. And exactly what you're speaking about. We need a type 1, type 2, and type 3. I can't remember. I think type 1 is the basically non-psychoactive, mostly CBD one, and type 2 is the 1-to-1, and type 3 is mostly THC. So if we just understood the plant from that perspective alone, we would solve a lot of problems. And then it wouldn't matter if you call it hemp or cannabis. It's irrelevant. And as we know, it is the same plant. It's just come down on a regulatory definition front that these words have come to matter. I don't know. I just see that I think that what's going to happen is that we need this open freedom, as much as I hate it. And I totally agree with you actually on a principle, but also if they start clamping down and start regulating that side, we've already seen what happens to the cannabis industry when you overregulate it, and it becomes a problem. So I just see it also as a slippery slope. If we start doing that to hemp, it's going to go the same way as cannabis, and we're not going to want that when it gets rescheduled to Schedule 3.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dr. Gene Talleyrand is a very wise and smart man, which is why he hired me as his real estate agent over 20 years ago.
Oh, look at
exactly.
that. Look at that. Look at that.
I think I might have flipped it. I think type 1 might be the high THC and the type 3 is the low THC, high CBD.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we had doctors making policy, we'd have better policy when it comes to things that are related to medicine. That, I think, is a no-brainer. And the gentleman you use as an example has been at the forefront of this field since I was in diapers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I'm still in diapers. That's why the screen only gets me from the chest up.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, yeah, we should be having doctors spearhead the conversations around policy related to medicine.
I agree with that. Oh, go ahead, Jesse.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I mean, what we did is we allowed the green rush to write all this policy and not the doctors. So for the most part, we've had Chads who want to make a ton of money. Sorry if your name's Chad out there. But we've had these quote unquote Chads, as we've called them, and they've been the ones making the policy who've been buddying up to politicians and writing these things. It's just been terrible for all of it.
Brian Dombrowski in the chat, he says, clarify the farm bill and force the FDA to do their job. We will all win. I'm tired of being treated like Al Capone in California.
Yeah, I mean, Brian has experience in California and moved to Texas for the broader opportunities that the Farm Bill provided, Brian, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but, you know, you and I knew each other before High at 9 News existed, and that's an example of having to find the opportunity based upon regulatory restrictions in the 4th largest economy in the world, and it's still a broken system. And I think cannabis operators, instead of it's Jesse, it's not that cannabis operators are asking the government to clamp down on hemp operators. We're asking, I think, for consistency and uniformity in how we get these plant products to market, and how that is how those opportunities are framed up by regulators. It's not that big of an ask, and the science is already there. There are probably many other men and women in this country who are almost as qualified as Dr. Talleyrand to be able to advise the government on sane policy. The government doesn't seem to be seeking that.
Well, no, because there's clearly money involved. I mean, I don't know that we have any proof of this, but I think there's plenty of people in Washington, D.C. who have their hands in the hemp market. And why would they want to start regulating it when they're making a ton of money hand over fist right now?
That's fair assessment right there, Jesse. Very fair assessment right there. Very, very true. And that's why I've told you guys nothing's going to get changed with the Farm Bill. It's not happening. You guys keep on calling and asking for this, but it's not going to happen.
Oh, well.
All right. Well, we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Minutes of good behavior,
you get,
and then back to the fucking tornado.
You get 10 chats, and then all of a sudden, back to normal. Yep. Well. Speaking of back to normal, you guys, man. Colorado gang members are responsible for dozens of marijuana dispensary burglaries. They just got sentenced, you guys. That's right. 6 leaders of a Denver gang were recently sentenced on organized crime charges connected to dozens of robberies and burglaries, mostly of metro area marijuana dispensaries, and during the summer and fall of 2023. In all, members of the gang and other criminal groups are blamed for 5 armed robberies, 40 burglaries, and 12 attempted burglaries, according to the results of the multi-agency investigation. The 2 groups coordinated to steal more than $750,000 in property and inventory. The thieves used stolen vehicles to reach stores and dispensaries across the Denver metro area, and as many as 4 break-ins were conducted in a single night. Cash was often the goal, and ATMs inside the businesses were targeted. Other items the bandits made off with were marijuana and marijuana product. Well, duh, they're going to cannabis stores, so of course that's what they're going to take. Sometimes they stole both, they say. Geez, these writers sometimes. Investigators took surveillance videos from the various crime scenes and compared those to the recorded locations of the defendant's cell phones. The similarities placed those men's phones in the area of the robberies and burglaries at the time that they occurred. The defendants also weren't shy about flashing the money and drugs they stole on their social media more than once, and investigators found the suspects wearing the same clothing and shoes in many of the social posts which were worn by the burglary suspects on the surveillance videos. That's super smart, guys. A grand jury indictment in December of that year resulted in the arrest of 23 young men. 14 of those arrested men have now been prosecuted, and 2 others are still in the process. Corey Anderson was the latest to learn his fate. He received a 25-year prison sentence earlier this month on 1 count each of burglary, aggravated robbery, and violating the Colorado Organized Crime Control Act, the COCCA. And the COCCA statute is aimed at criminal organizations accused of racketeering or taking action, criminal action in pursuit of profits. In a quote, they say, "Today's sentencing, Mark Milishek, special agent in charge of the FBI's Denver field office, stated in a press release, marks a major victory for public safety, ending a months-long investigation into the Blood Street gang responsible for dozens of violent crimes. Thanks to the coordinated efforts of the FBI's Violent Criminal Enterprise Task Force and the Denver District Attorney's Office, 14 gang members and associates have been taken off the streets and held accountable for more than 326 felony offenses, you guys. 4 other members of Anderson's gang received probation or deferred sentences, and 1 defendant from the other group, Christopher Navarez, received a 12-year prison term on a single COCCA count. 3 members of this group received deferred sentences on lesser burglary and theft felony counts, and 2 other men from the non-gang affiliated group, Charles Lofton and Javier Jurado, have yet to resolve their cases. Each is charged with COCCA violations among dozens of other charges. In a quote, they say, "Let these lengthy sentences serve as warnings to anyone involved in criminal enterprise that they too could spend decades in prison for their actions," Denver Police Chief stated after Anderson's sentencing. In a quote, they say, "This case and those of Anderson's co-defendants demonstrates that law enforcement agencies throughout the Denver metro area are committed to working together to disrupt and disband dangerous criminal organizations," added Denver District Attorney John Walsh. I have a question about that. His agency led the investigations with the help of Denver PD and the FBI's Violent Criminal Enterprise Task Force, better known as VCETF, and spearheaded the prosecution. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office, Aurora Police Department, and the Regional Anti-Violence Enforcement Network, better known as RAVEN, also contributed to the investigation. The crimes listed include 36 indictments, from dispensary thefts to armed carjackings and car thefts. And you can read all of the places that they hit up on our website at www.highat9news.com. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Someone's finally getting prosecuted, you guys, for breaking into cannabis businesses in Denver, Colorado.
Fucking good. It's about time. There was a long time in Colorado history where they were just allowed to go in, and they didn't go in when they were closed. Like, people were shot, they were held up at gunpoint, and like robbed during operating hours. And Denver did a really, really, really great job of being an asshole and keeping this quiet. So operators didn't know what was going on and didn't know, maybe I need an extra security guard. Maybe I need to do this, that, and the third to make sure that my staff's safe. Maybe it's time to actually spend a little extra money and get those panic buttons. I instructed all of my Colorado staff, if somebody breaks in here, you do not get paid enough to fucking protect this weed, put it on the cart and help them take it to the car.
That's right. Yep, that's that. A lot of businesses do tell their employees that is very true. I've seen that happen a number of times in a number of other industries as well, because they're just like, the insurance will cover it, and you know what I'm saying, your life is more important, I think, and oftentimes people's lives are definitely more important. I have a question though for you guys on this. Do you think the reason that they're prosecuting this is because John Walsh is the district attorney?
I want to sidestep that and do a comment and run, right? Like a pow and then out, right?
Go ahead.
For a long time, cannabis just wants to be treated like any other industry. And for a long time, ever since I think the beginning of COVID, we've seen cannabis businesses targeted mostly in dense urban areas because of the transportability, the resellability, and the high value products that are often stored at these cannabis facilities, whether they're manufacturing or retail. And we've seen, for the most part, law enforcement be relatively hands-off. I think if you were going to summarize it without what they haven't actually said, it's, hey, I'm not losing my life to save your vape cartridges from getting stolen. And so we saw these organized bands of marauders hitting distinct different markets. And according to law enforcement in Sonoma County as recently as last year, there was no centralized database to have local law enforcement report what was happening, have that bubble up to the state level, and have a state level agency tracking the trends and where these things were happening. So as long as these roving crimes were being done in different markets, the pattern wasn't being established. And when they have caught these people, it tends to be organized crime or slightly organized crime or disorganized crime, but it tends to be these people who are professionals. And so if you're going to take the taxes or you're going to take too much taxes, it makes sense for some of those taxes to be allocated towards loss prevention. And one of the problems, and I can't speak to Colorado, but one of the problems is that in these areas that have clusters of cannabis businesses, the taxes being collected, none of that is being plowed back into additional law enforcement for loss prevention in those areas that have clusters of businesses. They're not spending extra to get an extra beat patrol in Oakland or in Los Angeles or in San Francisco or in Santa Rosa. They're taking those taxes. There's no transparency around it, and they're not reinvesting it to keep the industry safe. And so that's a real problem. And it's no surprise to me that when they finally caught some people, they caught organized crime. We covered that thing down in Santa Cruz, you know, with the guy who just couldn't take it anymore and wasn't trying to be a vigilante or have mob justice, but didn't feel that law enforcement was being responsive to these systemic patterns of loss.
Decibel Farms.
Yeah. And so if we're going to be treated like any other industry, if it was the diamond industry and somebody was robbing little jewelry stores in strip malls in suburbia, you can be darn sure that law enforcement would be there in a New York minute.
Very, very, very true. But so now back to my question. Do you think that this is happening because John where's his name? This guy's name?
John Walsh? Yeah,
John Walsh is the district attorney.
No, I think it's happening because it needs to happen, Jason.
Well, I'm wondering if this is the same guy from America's Most Wanted.
No. Did he die?
Did he die?
Maybe not.
Well, Google knows.
I don't know. I'm wondering if their district attorney is the same guy from America's Most Wanted. He's got the same name.
Well, I'm wondering. You know what I'm wondering, Jason? I'm wondering what Jesse Barney's story's about.
Well, in order to find out what Barney's story is about, Jenny Beth, you would have to introduce Jesse Barney.
And we're gonna roll right into the founder of Barney Design Co., the Ginger Ninja, the highest grandpa on the High at 9 News, Jesse Barney.
All right. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jenny Beth. Mine's a fun story just to end it off. Smoking remains America's preferred method of cannabis consumption, study finds. A study conducted by the U.S. government has found that 80% of Americans who use cannabis report combustion as their primary method of consumption. The second most common route of consumption reported was ingesting cannabis via edibles or oils, and nearly half of those surveyed claimed to utilize multiple methods to take it. For thousands of years, people have consumed cannabis, and the methods used to transfer the active ingredients from the plant to the user have been many and varied. Smoking cannabis in rolling papers or bongs and pipes has long been a mainstay for most, but with the opening up of cannabis markets across the world, new ways to consume, such as dabbing and vaporizing, are becoming increasingly available. The study, published by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, was based on data compiled by Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, BRFSS, a nationwide medical survey conducted by telephone. The survey has been running since 1984, but questions about how cannabis is consumed were only introduced in 2022. The telephone survey received responses from 138,000 people, and the data collected showed that 15.3% of them use cannabis. When asked which method of consumption they used most frequently, 79.4% stated smoking. Other methods reported were eating at 41.6%, vaping 31.3%, and dabbing 14.6%. Nearly 25% of respondents within the age groups 18 to 24 and 25 to 34 stated that they used cannabis regularly, with around 13% stating that they used it every day. These age groups were also seen to use dabbing and vaping more frequently, possibly signaling which consumption methods may be favored by future generations of cannabis users. Studies investigating possible health issues resulting from dabbing and vaping are thin on the ground. However, most of the possible negative effects are psychologically based, such as developing cannabis use disorder. Most scientists now seem to agree that smoking cannabis without tobacco has negligible negative effects on health. This is an interesting study to come out from the CDC. I find it super interesting that they're saying that 25% of these 130 some odd thousand respondents are between 18 and 24 and 25 and 34, and that they are the ones who are vaping and dabbing more often. Already knew that was the case. When I look at my teenagers and their friends and what they are trying to get a hold of and what they get caught with vapes, not with actual weed. So I think that the future of weed, as far as that goes, is probably going in that direction. Although we could have another vape gate and it could switch back. And it is really cool that they end the story, despite mentioning cannabis use disorder, which is BS, as we know, that smoking cannabis has negligible negative effects on health. It's been shown time and time again that simply smoking weed does almost nothing to your body. In fact, there's been signs that the oil is so able to be transferred by your body and move through the lungs into the bloodstream that your body just very easily deals with it. Very cool. Toss it back to you guys.
I think this is fantastic news. Especially, I wanted to end with this story specifically because I was like, this is some great news. It's kind of something that we all already knew, and this just kind of codifies it. And I'm just excited that people are like still enjoying smoking cannabis amongst all the vape craze and whatnot. And you know what I'm saying? And
I knew you'd enjoy that one, Jason.
yeah, I really did. I thought this was phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? I'm a cannabis smoker. You know what I mean? I'm not a big vapor, so per se. You know what I'm saying? I don't even like vaporizing flour. I'm like, it's kind of lame. You know what I mean? But I do understand people love the convenience of vape cartridges and whatnot. But vape cartridges just don't do it for me. Like some of them taste really great and all that, but like it's not like I'm getting, you know what I'm saying, like the same effect that I get from smoking flour. But that's just me. You know, maybe I'm different.
I'm in the same boat. I do enjoy a nice dab when it's really high quality rosin. But for the most part, and of course, I've quit smoking. I haven't smoked anything for, I don't even know, it's 70 days or something like that now.
Oh wow, look at you, bro.
But, yeah. So, and I'm not gonna smoke any weed again until I can grow it myself.
Interesting.
Smoking crappy.
It's like a hunger strike.
Yeah, it's like no, he's doing Mark Zuckerberg's meal thing where like, you know, if he can't kill the cow himself, he's not going to eat the meat.
Well, there's just too many ifs about getting dispensary weed. I don't know where it really comes from. I'm up here in Washington. I don't have any grower friends up here, so it's too hard to source weed where I know what the inputs are, what's really going into it. So I'm really leery of all of it. I don't need to be vaping or dabbing or smoking.
Damn, so no pills off the Benjamin button for you.
None of it. No, none of it.
Interesting. We'll have to get you some genetics, Jesse.
I prefer like, you know, if I can have real sun-grown, living soil-grown, organic, 100%, really awesome weed, and I know that the rosin is created from that same weed, that's what I want. So, but that I think that's a super exceptional person. I think that the majority of cannabis consumers, they want quick, they want easy. They're at work, whether it's at their restaurant job or whatever their day job is, they want to run outside, hit the vape real quick, go back in, you know? So that's going to be what happens for the most part.
Interesting.
Well, look what God did. Nick Bradley said that he can connect you with a great grower in Northern California or Northern Oregon that has sun grown. I know that might not be.
I'm in Washington.
Yeah. It's the thought that
I know, and I told him, I said that, and he's like, bro, it's just a 4-hour drive, and so, you know, maybe that guy will drive to you, Jesse. Who knows? Maybe Nick will coerce him into, you know what I'm saying, coming and bringing you a little delivery. You never know.
Yeah, maybe. I appreciate the offer.
Yeah, well, figure it out, Nick. Put those logistics together, Nick. Let's get Jesse some trees. You know what I'm saying?
Oh boy, and with that.
All right. Well,
get out of here, Jason.
Yes.
Oh, we hope you have enough to put in your pipe and smoke till tomorrow. No, Jason, I'll let you end it.
Oh, you're so funny. You're so funny. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Aim High Hemp Distribution, Tested, and Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media Partners Anthony out there in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show. And we're off. Thank you.